There's a moment, and if you've ever been truly loved by a woman, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It usually happens quietly, not during sex, not during some dramatic confession, not even during the "I love you." It happens in the small moments nobody else would notice. You're sitting there pretending you're fine, saying, "I'm just tired," in that flat voice men use when they don't want to explain themselves. And she looks at you for half a second too long, and suddenly you feel exposed, not judged, worse, seen. That feeling right there? Most men spend their whole lives avoiding it. So if this video somehow found you tonight, if something in you is already tired of surface-level advice and fake confidence and pretending you don't care as much as you actually do, then stay with me. And maybe subscribe if you want more conversations like this. Not the polished kind, the real kind. Because I need to tell you something that a lot of men misunderstand about women. A woman who truly loves you does not love you the way movies taught you. She doesn't just admire your strengths, she studies your pain. And no, not in the manipulative way internet content tries to frame it. I mean, she notices the exact places where you stop being yourself. That's what love changes in a woman. She becomes emotionally attentive to your silences. Most men think love is measured by effort, by loyalty, by how much she texts, how physically affectionate she is, how much she sacrifices. Those things matter, yes, but they are not the deepest sign. The deepest sign is this. She starts responding to versions of you that you never verbally introduced. The tired version, the ashamed version, the emotionally checked out version, the little boy hiding underneath the competent adult man. And here's why this matters so much. A woman can be attracted to you without emotionally investing in you. That happens all the time. Attraction is easy. Chemistry is easy. Desire is easy. Real love is expensive. Because once a woman truly loves you, your emotional state begins affecting hers. That's why she notices tiny changes in your tone that nobody else catches. That's why she asks, "What's wrong?" when everybody else thinks you're acting normal. That's why she suddenly goes quiet after you say, "I'm fine," because she knows you're not. And strangely, this is the part many men push away. Because being deeply understood sounds beautiful until it actually happens. Then it becomes terrifying. Because now you can't hide behind performance anymore. A lot of men secretly build relationships where they can remain partially invisible. Even good men do this, especially good men. They provide, they show up, they stay reliable. But emotionally, they give carefully edited versions of themselves, not because they're evil, because somewhere along the way they learned vulnerability changes how people look at you. So when a woman genuinely loves them, really loves them, it creates internal conflict. Part of them feels relieved, the other part feels dangerously exposed. And this is where men often misread women completely. When a woman truly loves you, she does not only move closer to your strengths, she moves closer to your humanity, even the messy parts. You know what's strange? A woman can spend months around a man she's casually dating and still remain emotionally untouched, laughing, flirting, sleeping beside him, posting photos, making plans, and yet, internally, she still has one foot near the exit. Not because she's cold, because her nervous system hasn't chosen him yet. People don't talk enough about this. Real attachment is not logical. It's biological, emotional, quietly terrifying. And when it finally happens to a woman, you can see it in the way she begins protecting parts of you that even you neglect. That's the shift. She starts carrying emotional details about you in her mind without realizing it. The way your voice changes when you're overwhelmed, the topics that make you withdraw, the specific silence that means you're disappointed in yourself, the fake smile you use when you don't want to ruin the mood. A woman in love notices patterns, not because she's analyzing you like a scientist, because emotionally attached people become highly sensitive to each other's internal world. And honestly, this is where many men accidentally break good women. Because men often assume love is proven through dramatic gestures, but women usually experience love through emotional consistency, meaning, can she emotionally reach you, or only physically access you? There's a difference. Some men let women touch their body, their apartment, their routine, but never their actual inner life. And after a while, the woman starts feeling lonely beside someone she technically has. That loneliness is brutal, especially when she knows you care about her. That's what confuses women the most. When a man is kind, faithful, present, but emotionally unreachable in certain places. And if I'm being honest, many men don't even realize they're doing this, because they've been taught that handling pain privately is maturity, so they disappear into themselves when life gets heavy. Work stress, financial pressure, shame, fear of failure, feeling inadequate. They go silent. And the woman who truly loves them feels that silence like a door slowly closing. Now here's the important part. A woman who truly loves you will not immediately punish you for your emotional shutdown. At first, she tries to understand it. She becomes softer around your stress, more patient, more emotionally careful with you. Not because she's weak, because love naturally creates compassion. But eventually, she starts asking herself a painful question. Why does he only let me love the strong version of him? That question destroys more relationships than cheating sometimes, because emotional starvation is invisible. Nobody sees it from the outside. Friends think the relationship looks healthy, photos look normal, the conversations sound fine. But internally, the woman feels like she's standing outside a locked room inside the man she loves. And here's the irony. The men who struggle most with emotional openness are often the men women love hardest. The dependable ones, the self-controlled ones, the men who carry responsibility quietly. Because women feel safe with them. But safety without emotional intimacy eventually becomes distance. And when a woman truly loves you, she keeps trying to cross that distance. Not through lectures, usually through very small moments. The random, talk to me. The hand on your shoulder when you've gone quiet. The late-night question she asks softly while pretending it's casual. She's searching for you, not the polished version, you. And this is the part men almost never expect. When a woman truly loves you, she starts grieving you before she loses you. I know that sounds dramatic, but stay with me. Women are incredibly intuitive when emotional connection begins fading. Not perfect, not psychic, but emotionally perceptive in ways many men underestimate. She notices when your hugs become procedural, when your attention becomes functional instead of present, when you answer her, but don't really meet her emotionally anymore. And what hurts her most is that she remembers exactly how connected you used to feel. That contrast stays inside her. A man will often think, nothing's wrong, we're okay. Meanwhile, the woman is quietly mourning the emotional closeness that used to exist naturally. And before some guy watching this rolls his eyes and thinks, women are too emotional. No, this is actually about attachment psychology. Humans suffer when connection becomes inconsistent, especially after emotional bonding has already formed. The reason this matters is because many men mistake stability for intimacy, but they are not the same thing. You can stay loyal to a woman while emotionally disappearing from the relationship. You can sleep beside her every night while internally living somewhere else entirely. Work, pressure, stress, exhaustion, numbness, old wounds you never dealt with. Men carry a lot silently, I know that. But women feel the emotional absence even when they can't explain it perfectly. And when a woman truly loves you, she starts trying to reconnect before she starts complaining. That's what most men miss. The complaints usually come later. First comes the reaching. She asks more questions. She tries creating moments together. She sends you things that remind her of you. She watches your face while you talk, hoping to feel you emotionally present again. And sometimes, this is heartbreaking, the man interprets her efforts as pressure instead of love. So he pulls away even more. Now she feels rejected for caring. That changes a woman slowly, especially if she's deeply attached to you. Because women don't just want access to your time, they want emotional participation. They want to feel like you're psychologically with them, not merely beside them. And when that disappears long enough, something painful happens inside her. She begins emotionally preparing herself, not always to leave, sometimes just to stop needing so much from you. That's the dangerous stage. Because once a woman starts emotionally reducing her expectations to avoid disappointment, the relationship can look peaceful while intimacy quietly dies underneath it. No screaming, no betrayal, just emotional erosion. And the saddest part? A lot of men only realize how loved they were after the emotional warmth disappears, after the check-ins stop, after she stops asking twice, after her eyes stop searching your face for reassurance. That's when men suddenly panic. Because they mistake her silence for stability, when actually it's exhaustion. A woman who truly loves you fights for connection long before she gives up on it. But she cannot do it alone forever. And deep down, I think many men know exactly when a woman is trying to reach them emotionally. They just don't always know how to open the door without feeling weak, needy, or exposed. So instead, they joke, they deflect, they say, "I'm good." They wait for the feeling to pass. Meanwhile, the woman beside them is loving them the only way she knows how, by trying not to lose them emotionally before she loses them physically. There's something else women almost never say out loud. A woman who truly loves you starts becoming emotionally protective of your dignity. And honestly, this is one of the purest forms of love there is. Because real love changes the way someone handles your weaknesses. A woman who is only emotionally halfway invested in you will use your vulnerable moments carelessly sometimes. Maybe during arguments, maybe when she's angry, maybe without even realizing the damage. But a woman who deeply loves you becomes careful with the parts of you that bruise easily, especially the parts you try hardest to hide. Your fear of failure, your insecurity about not being enough, your quiet comparison to other men, the pressure you carry to always have answers. Men rarely talk about these things openly. Most men would rather appear emotionally steady than emotionally honest, and women know this. You think she doesn't notice the pressure you put on yourself. She does. She notices when your confidence suddenly sounds forced, when your patience gets thinner because life is hitting you harder than usual, when you become distant after feeling inadequate in some area of your life. A woman who truly loves you doesn't just react to your words, she reacts to the emotional weight underneath them. And sometimes, she starts protecting your pride in tiny ways you never even recognize. She changes how she brings up sensitive topics. She reassures you indirectly instead of embarrassing you directly. She chooses timing carefully when discussing difficult things. Not because she's manipulating you, because she understands your ego is not just arrogance. Sometimes it's armor. A lot of men hear the word ego and immediately think toxic masculinity or selfishness. But psychologically, the male ego is often deeply connected to worth. Am I capable? Am I respected? Am I enough for the people depending on me? Those questions live quietly inside many men every single day. And women who truly love their man usually feel that internal pressure more than he realizes. That's why disrespect damages men so deeply in relationships. Not criticism, not accountability, disrespect. There's a difference. A loving woman can challenge you without humiliating you. She can be frustrated without trying to shrink you. And when a woman genuinely admires the man she's with, she becomes surprisingly gentle with his vulnerabilities, even during conflict. Now, of course, no relationship is perfect. People lose patience. People say things they regret. Humans are emotional creatures. But watch the pattern. That's what matters. Does she instinctively try to preserve your emotional safety or destroy it when emotions get intense? Because love reveals itself most clearly during tension. Anybody can act loving when things feel easy. But when disappointment enters the room, when resentment builds, when both people feel misunderstood, that's where emotional character shows itself. And here's the uncomfortable truth many men eventually learn too late. A woman who feels emotionally safe with you becomes softer. A woman who feels emotionally unsafe becomes harder. Not because she wants to punish you, because people adapt to emotional environments. If she constantly feels dismissed, ignored, mocked, emotionally abandoned, or unsafe expressing herself, eventually she stops bringing her softness to you. And once tenderness dies in a relationship, everything starts feeling transactional. That's why emotionally mature women pay close attention to how conflict feels, not just how attraction feels. Because attraction can survive chaos for a while, love usually cannot. There's a point in a relationship where a woman who truly loves you stops trying to win arguments. Not because she has nothing to say, not because she suddenly agrees with everything, but because she's more invested in us than in being right. And that shift is subtle. You don't always notice it while it's happening. At first, she still reacts emotionally, still pushes back, still gets frustrated when she feels unheard. That's normal. But over time, if she loves you deeply, something changes in how she handles emotional conflict. She starts pausing more before responding. She starts asking herself, is this going to bring us closer or push him away? She starts choosing timing over impulse. And here's what most men misunderstand about this stage. They think, she's becoming calmer, things are improving. Sometimes that's true, but sometimes it's emotional adaptation. Because a woman who truly loves you will try for a long time to maintain emotional connection, even when it's not being met consistently. She doesn't want to lose the bond she built with you, so she adjusts. She lowers intensity. She softens expectations. She becomes more self-contained in certain emotions, not because she cares less, but because she's trying to preserve what still feels meaningful. And this is where the quiet danger enters relationships. Because emotional adjustment can look like peace on the surface, less arguing, less tension, fewer emotional talks. But underneath that silence, something important might be shifting. The woman who used to reach for you emotionally starts reaching inward instead. She starts processing things alone. She stops bringing certain feelings to you because she doesn't want another disappointing outcome. She starts telling herself, it's fine, I'll deal with it. And men often miss this completely. Because from the outside, things look calmer. But inside, emotional distance can be growing. Now listen carefully to this part. A woman who truly loves you doesn't just want your presence in her life. She wants emotional participation from you. Not perfection, not constant deep conversations, not dramatic vulnerability every day, just access. Access to your inner world sometimes. Access to your truth when things are hard. Access to the real version of you, not just the functioning version. And when she feels that access slowly closing, she doesn't always leave immediately. Love doesn't work that mechanically. Instead, she begins to grieve the relationship while still in it. She still sits next to you. She still shares routines with you. She still cares what happens to you. But something inside her starts preparing for a version of life where she has to carry less emotional expectation. That's the moment many men only understand in hindsight, when they suddenly realize the warmth is gone. But the woman didn't change overnight. She changed slowly, quietly, in response to emotional conditions she didn't know how to fix alone. And here's the truth I want to leave you with. When a woman truly loves you, she doesn't just love what you give her. She loves who she feels she becomes around you. Safe, seen, emotionally held, chosen. And if that version of her slowly disappears, she doesn't stop loving you instantly. She just stops feeling like she can stay emotionally open with you the way she once was. Not out of punishment, out of self-protection. And if you're watching this alone right now, thinking about your own relationship, don't rush to blame yourself or her. Just notice the pattern. Because real love doesn't survive on intensity. It survives on emotional access, repeated, honest, imperfect, but real.